Mercy, the guardian angel of Overwatch. Whether you love her or you hate her, every player has strong feelings about Mercy. It's gotten to the point where support players are either Mercy mains or absolutely despise her existence. Her high healing output, great mobility, and powerful ultimate keep her on par with the other main healers in the game. But was Mercy always the well-balanced peace advocate we know today? This is the history of Mercy in competitive Overwatch. In this video, we'll be discussing hero usage in Premier level Overwatch tournaments during each competitive season since the game's official release. We use the following tier system to rank heroes based on how frequently they were played. Since the Overwatch hero pool is so saturated with DPS characters, especially at release, it's extremely rare to see a non-DPS character in Tier 5. In fact, it's literally only happened once, when Mercy was the second least played hero in Season 1. Lucio and Zen were basically the only two supports that mattered back then, while Mercy was left in the dust. Early on in the game's history, the Swiss doctor was heavily reliant on her Resurrect ultimate ability, which brought back all dead allies within a radius. She would often spend time hiding until the enemies used their own ults to win a fight, and then fly in to bring her team back and have the advantage. So when her ultimate charge rate was decreased, it wasn't a good look for Mercy. Her passive health regen now gave some extra ult charge, but it just couldn't save the already struggling hero. And as if that wasn't enough, the addition of Ana destroyed Mercy. The new support sniper could out-heal Mercy, while also being a decent counter to her aerial soulmate, Pharah. Aside from a few niche cases, Mercy didn't see any play at all in pro-level tournaments. After such a terrible season, the Overwatch team knew Mercy needed some help, so Season 2 was all buffs on her end. To start it off, her healing was increased and the allies she resurrected were able to move more quickly. This first one was big, bringing her healing output more in line with the overshadowing support sniper. Later on in the season, her passive regen was changed to activate more quickly, giving her more survivability and also helping her get to that ultimate a little faster. The pharmacy combo gained a bit of popularity from this, along with a small buff to Pharah, but it wasn't quite enough to really bring Mercy into the meta, and she landed in Tier 4 for Season 2. The positive trend continued at a slow and steady pace throughout Season 3. In the mid-season, Ana's grenade got nerfed, which brought her healing potential down slightly. Then later on, Mercy gained immunity while rezzing, to give her a chance to escape after diving in and popping ult. These changes definitely made Mercy a more appealing pick, but the prevalence of tanks in the meta maintained Ana's dominance of the main healer position and Mercy's placement in Tier 4. Mercy actually didn't see any changes at all in Season 4, but she did see a small increase in playtime, bringing her up to Tier 3. There were two main reasons for this shift. First came an early nerf to Ana's damage that made her less of a must-pick in the support department and gave Mercy room to take her place. And second, partially caused by that Ana nerf, was the decline of the tank meta. With dive becoming a more viable option, teams needed a healer that could keep up with their Winston while also avoiding the enemies. Sure, Ana could heal from a safe distance, but as soon as she got jumped it was game over. Lucio did the job well enough, but Mercy wasn't a bad fit either. She could stay mobile with Guardian Angel and get heals to the frontliners through barriers. Despite moving up a tier, Mercy was still the least played support hero in Season 4. As I mentioned in our Diva video, Season 5 was one of the most polarized metas in the history of Overwatch. If you were to rank the heroes in order of playtime, Mercy would have moved up a few places from last season, but since Dive had a monopoly on the battlefield, Mercy actually got kicked back down to Tier 4. The supports of choice for Dive at this point were Zen and Lucio, with Mercy being a niche pick alongside Pharah for aerial control. Unfortunately, the airborne duo was kept grounded by hitscan heroes like Soldier and Widow, who were fairly common in this meta. Warning: the following information may be distressing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. September 19th, 2017, the day of the double rework. For people like me who always main Diva and Mercy, it was like Christmas morning, but for most, it marked the beginning of a nightmare. At first, we had no idea how bad it would get. Mercy's rework seemed pretty cool. Res became a single target ability on a 30-second cooldown, and she got a brand new ult called Valkyrie. Mercy transformed to fly free for 20 seconds with unlimited ammo, constant regen, instant res, and a web-like beam that can affect the entire team at once. Sounds balanced, right? Well, with wings spread wide, Mercy soared straight up to tier 2, finally becoming a staple of the meta-defining dive comp. At the end of the season, she was changed to get a second res charge when ulting, rather than a cooldown reset, meaning she could double res without casting Valk in between. She was so hard to kill in her ult that she earned the nickname the Moth for how annoying it could get to try to swat her out of the air. In an attempt to keep the new Mercy at bay, every hero balance change made in Season 7 was a negative toward the oppressive Moth. That might sound worse than it actually was, considering there were only 3 changes in the entire season, but it still says a lot about her power level at the time. First, Mercy herself got a cast time on res and it could now be interrupted by stuns. It was still instant in Valk though. Next, Ana's damage got rebuffed to make her an appealing alternative to Mercy. And finally, a new main healer was added in Moira that promised some insane spread healing to rival Mercy's single target beam. In spite of this, Mercy made it to the top spot in Tier 1, the most played hero in Season 7. It became clear that this wouldn't be an easy problem to solve. For the first half of Season 8 and Stage 1 of Overwatch League, we remained at the peak of the Mercy meta. Dive with the support duo of Mercy and Zen was the only notable strategy being used aside from the counter comps. Luckily, Mercy finally got a substantial nerf to her ultimate in the mid-season. She lost some speed with Guardian Angel, 5 seconds of duration, and most importantly, the second res charge. Valk was no longer an instant teamfight win like it had been since its inception. These changes were barely put on display during Season 8 because of the gap in the Overwatch League schedule, so Mercy retained her spot in Tier 1. But Season 9 was a different story. The Valkyrie nerfs as well as some changes to other heroes like Sombra and D.Va made Mercy a weaker option in this meta. And since Pharmacy wasn't around as much, Triple Tank came back out to play. It wasn't super common, but multi-tank comps were being used on certain maps in certain situations, and they had no need for the Angelic Doctor. The support slots would instead be filled by Lucio and Moira, who saw significant playtime increases that cut into Mercy's share and dropped her down to Tier 2. By no means was Dive gone from the meta, but it definitely did struggle a little against the meatier comps. Season 10 was another different story, however, when Brigitte marched onto the battlefield with one goal: to neuter Dive comp. She succeeded, and brought along with her a meta that favored snipers as DPS characters. So Mercy's old crew was slowly falling out of it, but she actually made her way back up to the top spot in Tier 1. It turns out sniper comps are much more powerful when you have a Mercy to pocket the sniper and bring them back to life if they get unlucky. Not having her was too much of a disadvantage, and she just couldn't be replaced. Hitscan heroes got a little buff in Season 11, which wasn't great for the Pharmacy combo. But Mercy is an independent Swiss woman who don't need no Pharah, and actually synergizes well with Hitscan teammates, so she was perfectly fine. Later on in the season, they balanced out the support heroes a bit in hopes of refreshing the meta. It definitely worked, and Mercy saw a small decline in play, but not enough to bring her out of Tier 1. We'll probably notice the effects of these changes more in Season 12, but it's too early to talk about that at this point, so Mercy gets to end her story on a high note. And that's where we are today. Mercy's journey through the seasons of competitive Overwatch mirrors the effect of her signature move. Everything started out poorly. She was dead weight on the team. But then she rose from the ashes, soaring to the top of the charts and never coming down. I suppose it's worth mentioning that her playtime does seem to be declining significantly this season, but like I said before, it's too early to make any conclusions. Either way, Mercy is definitely one of the most meta-defining heroes in the history of Overwatch. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more history of Overwatch, hit that thumbs up button. This is a bi-weekly series releasing every other Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. And follow us on all our social medias. We really appreciate all the support. Lastly, comment on which hero's history you'd like to see next.